Good morning. Oh, no, you're very welcome. You could even have come later. We would still have welcomed you. How are you, Mheshimiwa?
Karibu sana. Hope mvua haija kusumbua sana na baridi.
Hapana. Kuchelewa tu ile ya kawaida.
Okay. But welcome. Welcome to Radio Generation once again. We are currently hosting in studio Honorable Martha Karua. She is the party leader for People's Liberation Party. You found us talking about the recent by-elections that took place yesterday, and UDA managed to take all 4 seats. And that is what I was actually asking CT, because we are hearing of all this chants of 1 term. Of course, there's 2 term. And you could... From the recent events we've seen, for example, maandamano yenye yalifanyika last year and the year before that, it looked like the ground had shifted, but these election results seem to say otherwise.
I have not received any report from the ground yet, but I know for sure that in a free and fair elections, it is difficult for UDA to win even an MCA seat.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for the report, because the polling was very clear.
Yes.
The UDA candidate in Ivurore, for instance, where we had a candidate who stepped down for the DP candidate. I know the polling, the UDA candidate was not even number 3. It was the DP candidate.
Right.
There was an independent candidate, then our candidate, then a UDA. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's no way.
Yeah.
No way
so
that the voters could have changed overnight. I'm waiting to hear the report.
Yes.
I'll not comment without hearing those who are on the ground. Yeah.
All right. I guess then we will wait for that particular moment.
Yeah. And the challenge, even for the general election, is how we mobilize, vote, and guard the vote. Because this manipulation of the electoral process is to make people lose hope and see that voting is futile. That is what we must fight against.
Right.
And people must remember that whereas it's easier to manipulate by elections, it is not the same in a general election. There will be over 53,000 polling stations.
Yeah.
They will be stretched. They cannot abuse security on that day on the scale that they do in a by-election.
Are you suggesting, or are you saying that in these recent by-elections that took place yesterday, they were not free and fair?
They cannot have been free and fair if UDA was said to have won Ivurore and anything in Bere. It cannot be. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting to hear the reports on the ground.
Yeah.
People are done with them, and everybody knows. Ruto himself knows. If he has any favor, why is it that they have to employ goons? We have seen goonism. Kenya has become Haiti. Goons reign free, escorted by the police.
Yeah.
So goons are in charge. Why do we have goonism? If he has any favor with the people.
Right. There's this other story of ODM, and there's a tweet you tweeted, I think it was a couple of days ago, where you cheered the group of Sifuna on.
Of course.
You told them to go louder on their particular cause.
Yes.
Are you supporting them breaking out of ODM? Are you supporting
I'm not
them
supporting
fighting?
anybody breaking or fighting. I didn't start the fight.
Yes.
I am just supporting those who are bold enough to say their truth. Those who stand up for what is right. Yes. And even though I'm not an insider in ODM, it was clear to everybody that Sifuna, the only sin Sifuna committed was to express very clearly that he would not support Ruto. And he also disagreed with the framing that the Honorable Raila had left them instructions to support Ruto in 2027. If that is a crime, then freedom of speech is a crime itself. Yeah.
Because if you look at what is happening within that particular party, it to some extent it's also very confusing, because you see these individuals, for example, Sifuna, sworn in the Honorable or Dr. Buru Ginga as the party leader, but then again, comes out and is against most of the things that this particular leader is steering the party towards. And also the people on several sides of this particular divide are asking, which direction exactly is this particular individual that seems to be commanding a huge following on the ground taking the party, and that perhaps for him might be his undoing. I don't know.
The question is not about an individual. It's a question of what people stand for.
Right.
If he is being silenced because he is expressing his truth and he appears to have favor with the people, then we don't have to wonder which direction the party is going. And I think that should be enough. I didn't come here to talk about another party.
Yes.
The party I lead is called PLP.
You're very right.
Our colors are purple and lilac, which is another purple, yet another purple,
Yes.
and white. And we are calling upon Kenyans
Yes.
to unite so that we liberate the country. Tuungane, tujikomboe. Unite, liberate. We need to liberate ourselves from electoral manipulation, from abuse of our resources, to rescue ourselves from the denial or lack of access to health. I'm calling it denial because our funds are being abused.
Yes.
SHIF is a confusion deliberately brought so that the money contributed by the people for their health can be siphoned, and they continue to suffer. The Ruto administration removed a system that was working, NHIF. It had its issues which
Yes.
could be rectified, removed it, brought in something that is not working for the people. And it doesn't matter how many times he and his cronies say it works. It is the people who would say, who would know whether it works. People knew NHIF was working, their personal experiences. SHA, we know it's not working. I was saying the other day, my dad was in hospital 10 days ago. You have a bill of 360. SHA is paying for you 17,000, which is less than the amount of money he had to pay up front. So this is a scam. And we didn't have people in the villages raising funds when there was NHIF. If you had a fundraiser maybe for somebody who has not gone under the scheme, and a majority had gone, and they were getting health care everywhere, in little places up country. Education. We are having such a terrible time, from free universal access to primary school to bottlenecks in primary school today and in junior secondary. We have not finished with the confusion of year 10, grade 10 placement. We have, the reports are that over 800,000 kids are still at home. That's close to 1 million. And the confusion in university funding, in primary, secondary school, the entire system, capitation. The problems are all over. That is really what we should be talking about. The youth joblessness. Leaving them to be hired, some of them to be hired as goons by the system. You mismanage the economy, which, if well managed, the private sector would be creating jobs. So you close the window for jobs for youth, then you abuse and misuse them by hiring some of them as goons, others taking to menial jobs out of the country when they should be here building the country. Those are the issues we should be talking about.
After the elections of 2022, you said that you wouldn't, you're done with being a running mate.
Exactly.
Now we have this side that is organizing themselves. What will happen if someone from the United Opposition is, selected or nominated to be the flag bearer, and they actually nominate you to be a running mate? Would you accept that?
You can't be nominated without your consent. Let's first get it right. I have already said, and my colleagues know,
Yes.
I'm not willing to be anybody's running mate.
Right.
But in the event I'm not nominated,
Yes.
I'm myself a presidential aspirant.
Okay.
I describe myself as the standing president. Ruto is sitting president. I am standing president, waiting for that seat to be vacant, and he'll find me properly seated. So my aspiration is to manage Kenya as the CEO.
Okay.
In the event I'm not the
Selected
one
to be there, yes.
selected, I'm going to work damn hard to get selected.
Yes.
I will be willing. Kenya is bigger than me.
Okay.
I'll be willing to 100% support whoever is selected in accordance with the systems we are going to put in place. So that doesn't mean it's me and myself.
Okay.
It just means if I miss that position, I will not deputize, but I will 100% support. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe what you meant by that is if you're not nominated at that particular point, you're definitely going it alone.
No.
So it's
I've
Karua
said
or not.
100 times, and I think in the United Alternative Government, as we now are calling ourselves,
Right.
I am the candidate who has said it more than anybody else that in the event I'm not nominated, I will 100% support. So there's no confusion whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm done with running mate. That was 2022. I'm not going back to 2022. I had a good run, and that suffices.
Ishmael, how united is the united opposition?
As you see, the people are united, and every serious politician minds what the people want. The people want that unity. That's why you see them coming out in those numbers. If you listen to us in the rallies, one point that excites everybody is the pledge for unity.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's the only hope. With a thieving regime like this one, with a rogue regime that manipulates elections, manipulates security to create a state of fear and anarchy, the only way for the people, a regime that kills, that murders its own, the only way to remove it is to be united, because a people united will never be defeated.
Is this the only regime that we know that has manipulated elections in this country?
This is the worst.
What makes it the worst?
First, the scale of killing, the scale of insecurity created by the regime. We have not seen this level of goonism. Yes, Moi era there was Jeshi Lamze, which was notorious in Mombasa and in Nairobi, but virtually other places, even though they were creating insecurity, not on this scale. And we never saw goons working with police. This is the first time. So I suppose that Ruto went benchmarking in Haiti, and he has outdone himself, because it is every little place that has insecurity today. Yeah.
There's a famous picture of Reverend Timothy Njoya being beaten by...
brutalized.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the presence of police.
They were not doing anything, but they were not escorting the goons.
Permitting somebody or allowing someone to commit an offense before you is not any different from escorting them.
Let me tell you, there is a slight difference. Even today, the police are giving a blind eye when those offenses are being committed. But this time, the collaboration between police and goons is so open that you see them working together. You see?
Yes.
It was not that way.
I've often wondered, those pictures of young men with those batons walking around in the police, were they goons or were they plainclothes policemen? It's something that I've wondered about.
If they are plainclothes policemen, they are still goons, because what they are doing is not their duty. Even a policeman who shoots at a peaceful crowd or into a crowd and ends up hurting an innocent person is actually a rogue. That's what we call them, rogue police. So he's no different from a goon. Yeah. And he's worse than a goon that doesn't know the law. He is trained and he knows what he should or shouldn't do. And then he's also abusing the weapons we have bought for him for our own defense.
Yes.
He turns them into murder weapons. So that's somebody who picks a panga that he was given by the employer to go to the shamba and cut the employer's neck.
Yeah.
So that's a goon, a police goon.
A lot of the presidential candidates we are seeing currently are looking for, or rather they are trying to come up with some sort of support base. For example, we are seeing a DCP leader trying really hard to present the mountain as his region. Of course, we know Kalonzo with Ukambani and many others with their regions. What is your silver bullet as far as that particular strategy is concerned?
My silver bullet is Kenya. And I do not know that any person owns any place. Even Ukambani will have candidates. Just like Kalonzo will have candidates in the mountain. Even in Gusiland,
yes,
where Matiang'i is the official spokesperson of the Gusi community, I have supporters and candidates. I'm going to have candidates everywhere, and the mountain is not owned by any one person. PLP is firmly on the ground, and you're going to see us as we move towards that, because there is going together as the united opposition, and there is going individually to seek for votes. We are on the ground, and time will tell. I'm totally unfazed by what anybody says. Whether you try to shout from the mountaintop that this is your base, it's everybody's base.
You know, the thing about our politics
that
I find intriguing is the fluidity of it. Opposition politics puts together very unlikely partners.
Indeed.
You have agreed with me rather quickly.
Yes. It's always that way.
Yes, I'm looking, and why I prefaced what I want to ask with that is because there are people whose track record lends them to popularity. People know, and the citizenry support. There are others who are likely to dent that popularity. Now, it is true that we've never had two things in my mind. One, the youth bulge that we have. We've never had this before.
It continues to
grow. We've never had it, and it's there, and it's alive and well. We've also never had a situation where we've seen that youth bulge voicing what they feel is their opinion on a subject. We saw it in 2024. They actually voiced it loudly, and we knew this group of Kenyans are telling us this is how they think. Okay? Now, crowds that come for rallies and people who actually vote, there's a discordance. We see very large crowds when there are rallies. But somehow, when it comes to the voting pattern that we see in this country, last election was an anomaly of sorts, because that percentage of people who didn't vote was one of the highest. I have never seen anything that high.
It was huge.
Yes. That's despondency. We are going into another election. What is it that guarantees that we will not have that despondency?
I think the ball is squarely in our court as leaders. We have to keep telling the people there is a cost of not voting. And the cost of not voting is getting bad leadership. We are in a problem today. Yes, you feel tired because you vote and your vote does not seem to count. Those who don't vote effectively cast a vote indirectly for bad people, because then they access leadership, because you didn't bring your vote together with those who want positive leadership. So my message to Kenyans, and it is not only the youth who are failing to vote, it is middle class, it is the older people, maybe the majority of those who don't vote may be the youth, because they are also the ones who are most disadvantaged. But they are people of all ages. And my constant message is this. Please take your vote. Let our greetings to each other be, have you registered to vote? Let us encourage each other to vote. And once we vote, my message especially to the youth, stay around the polling station. The law may not allow you, if it's in a school, to stay near the classrooms where people are voting or where the queues are. Hang around outside the station. When it closes, come back to the polling station. The only place you're not allowed to go is into the classroom where they are counting. So stay around to guard the vote. And this nonsense of Ethekon saying that they'll ban use of mobile phones, we will not allow them to do that. What does the law say? Open and accountable. We must have the phones. The number of people who abuse that by taking photos of their phone to show others for money is very few. The only place you can say don't go with a mobile phone but go with it but don't take a photo is in the polling booth. And agents who stand near enough can be able to identify a person taking a photo. You cannot ban phones. Next time, they will start prescribing what set of clothing you can come with to the polling station or shoes. So Ethekon must know he cannot make the law. He can only apply it. And the law does not stop you from entering with your phone. The law says you go in, they give you a ballot. He should be more focusing on his people, not to give multiple ballots. He should be addressing the opposition complaints that they should not bar our agents. And those are the reports I'm waiting to get. And that they should never admit to the polling station people who are not either voters, candidates going to check, or their agents who are deployed to check. So whether you are a government minister or Ruto himself, you have no access to a polling station unless if you are going under the name of agent
or voter,
or you are the candidate. The elections do not differentiate citizens. And therefore, we don't want to hear reports of senior government people going to block stations like Roko was reported to have done in the last by-election. We do not also want police acting on their own, becoming rogue. Police deployed in an election are election officials. Therefore, they are under the presiding officer in a polling station and in an electoral area under the returning officer. So they have two bosses, the immediate being the presiding officer and the overall being the returning officer. So they should never admit or allow people to come armed to the polling station. So if you have bodyguards, they should remain outside the polling station. If not, they follow you not bearing arms. Because you're intimidating the people and creating insecurity, which is what happened in the last by-election. I'm yet to hear the reports of yesterday.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa,
Yeah.
the constant discussion about a presidential election
Yeah.
and where the tally for the presidential election should be. What is our law? Where is it that we determine the votes?
The polling station. That's the minor KI case.
Yes.
And that is what the Constitution says. It is the polling station. So in the polling station, the counting can never be done anywhere else. And therefore, it is important for agents, once the presiding officer certifies how many votes, take a copy of that. And that's why phones are very necessary. Ethekon, when you touch on phones, then we will tell you you are planning to rig. Because our agents must be able, because they never have enough copies. So don't give us copies. It's okay. We are used to you not giving us. But immediately it is finished and the law says it's be put on the door. Our agents must take a screenshot, send it on WhatsApp, and we will be able to tally the votes for ourselves. Because once it's counted, you can aggregate all the votes in that ward, know the ward result. You can do the same for every ward in the constituency, and eventually you'll be able to report the constituency result for your candidate. So once we get the 290 constituencies, we are able to know who is president. And this must be before midnight on
Which
the
means
polling
we
day.
do not need bombers.
We don't need bombers. And let me tell you, bombers was a crime scene even last time. How can they pretend for 7 days they are tallying when they were just manipulating the results? We also did not do our duty, because we should have announced our results as our whatever.
Tally.
As per the tallying.
Yeah,
that you,
because
yes.
announcing your results is to say our tallies show that we have this amount of votes and the other side has this. We are waiting for the official. So when I said at KICC that if we could call it for ourselves, we have won, I should have actually said the votes. Yeah.
So at that particular time, you already had the tally.
We had won. Yeah. We already had, and mind you, I always say, without equivocation, there's no way Ruto could have won the last general election. Picture this. 40 out of 47 counties, 27 had voted overwhelmingly for Raila, 20 for Ruto. If you want to think that maybe he got the ones with the biggest vote, it is not so. Nairobi, though with an UDA governor, was called for Raila. Kajiado was called for Raila. Although we had 24 governors, I will show you that even Taita Taveta, which had an independent candidate, was called for Raila. So 24 plus 3 equals 27. I want to take you very quickly to what was happening. So Ruto, they had 18, but there were 18 or 19. Then there was Meru, which was independent and called for him. We also say that failing at that time to have the elections in Kakamega and Mombasa was deliberate voter suppression by the IEBC, because they didn't want us to be able to say clearly we have 24 governors against 27 or rather 27 counties with 24 governors. At that time, because those two didn't elect,
yes,
they had 18 and we had 22. You know, the difference was not now looking so large.
Yes.
We had more MPs than them by 12. Okay? And that was because we fronted multiple candidates in same constituencies. And we are saying this is the lesson to draw from.
Yes.
Let's not concentrate on only one vote, the presidential. Let's concentrate on the 6 votes. And let us field one candidate for all. Because when the difference is like you have 40 more members of parliament than the other party, they'll not try to manipulate the top vote, because in any event you'd remove them the first day in parliament. But when the difference is so small, like in our case it was 12, they scanned the environment and saw UDM, which was in the Azimio coalition, and they grabbed it, took the 10 seats, the difference remained 2. That's how they were able to get Wetangula as a governor. It took 2 years.
As speaker.
As the speaker. It took 2 years for the courts to rule that Azimio is the majority party, by which time our later Kinara then, Raila, had moved
into
towards
the
Ruto.
Yeah.
So, Azimio never claimed its space. They remain the minority, whereas they are the majority. And I doubt that UDM ever took the steps to withdraw from Azimio, because we were the first party as in Kenya to withdraw from Azimio. Yeah.
Now, in terms of strategy, you've said that the United Opposition will field single candidates in all the areas that are electable.
That's what we are moving towards. We have not given our final. That's what our technical committees are working for. Yeah. But if I were to be asked personally, that's what we did in 2002 under the banner of National Rainbow Coalition. And we had joint nominations. It worked. Kanu was decimated. From 100 and something seats, it remained with about 12, if I can remember correctly. Therefore, there is no way on earth that Kanu was going to dispute the elections. And Uhuru then did the right thing, conceded quite quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Martha Karua presidency, considering that you are a former justice minister,
Yeah.
how will your presidency handle the National Infrastructure Fund and, of course, over taxation that has been mentioned over and over for Kenyans?
To begin with, the moment I enter, I would issue an executive order stopping the housing levy deductions while waiting to move to address it legally. And over punitive taxation will become a thing of the past. Taxation ought to be a contribution to the services the government gives you. It should never be punitive, such that it's so high you can hardly cater for your own needs. Today, people with pay slips have the pain of not being able to pay their mortgages. If they have cars on loan, they are unable to pay for them. We are seeing people being auctioned. The pages for auctioning people for mortgages and all other things are becoming larger and larger in the newspaper.
Yes.
There are people who had placed their children in private schools. They are no longer able to do that. There are people who actually have become financial wrecks. It's not just high taxation. It's also the government at the two levels, both county and national, failing to pay contractors, some of whom borrow money in order to do those services. So overtaxation, a thing of the past. Pending bills for contractors would be addressed. Of course, there will be rationalization because some of them are thieving bills.
Yes.
But there's most of them are genuine. The thieving ones are known. And by failing to pay, you are killing the hard-working people of this nation. And you're also killing the economy, because when their money is held, they too owe so many others, the suppliers who supplied them. We have seen people committing suicide, others dying of depression, dying of disease. You ask people to pay more for SHA than they paid for NHIF, and then it fails them at the time of need. So people dying because they can't access medical services. Those I would address the pressure points, the pains of Kenyans same day.
On matters education, for instance, how would you clean up that particular mess that we're currently experiencing?
We have so much corruption everywhere. And then we have theft and misallocation by the national government. First of all, address...
Just pause for a second.
Yeah.
Every time you mention national government, please mention the county governments, because
Yeah.
all these problems we have in the national government are mirrored in the county governments. Please continue.
The head begins to rot at the top. Unless if you address national government, because it is the policy holder, policies at national level. Remember, Kenya boasts that is unified government that is acting at two levels, national and county. So we address the head first. So once you address the head, main things to address is restore the country to the rule of law. And the law doesn't know your status. It applies equally to everybody. Ensure that there is timely enforcement. The day there will be a governor in jail, not jail ya mchezo and being released on bond, and the case pending for I don't know how long, and then you quietly get released. Real-time enforcement. That is the time theft will end. And not just on governors, on ministers.
Yeah.
How come you enter government and within weeks you begin becoming a rich person, buying properties and all that? It's not rocket science. But then we also need to clean up the EACC, the anti-corruption body. It is itself rotten to the core. There are officers there who are rent-seeking. Those who make decisions, who are rent-seeking. And you remember last time they were told to declare wealth?
Yes.
It had a different CEO then. They went to court. You must get everybody who is working for the state, starting with the top, to declare their wealth And it must be an open register so that if you are concealing, members of the public can be able to know, because they know us more than we think they do.
Yes.
So you clean up every place. Clean up the judiciary. Clean up the Judicial Service Commission, because you cannot clean the judiciary without cleaning the Judicial
JSC.
Service Commission. That's where the corruption begins.
Is that so?
In appointments, when you do it corruptly, and also when you exact undue influence on judges and magistrates, that's where the corruption starts, and then it is practiced.
You pre-enact corruption by the choice of individuals who you guarantee you have in the Judicial Service Commission, because they will also determine the people who now enter the judiciary.
And they will have influence over them.
Yes.
And, corruption, you must rope in the law society, because corruption is also with advocates. Judges don't bribe themselves.
No, they don't.
The conveyors most of the times are advocates. So we need a conversation with ourselves about corruption, how it affects us, how we give up and we say, because you are in distress, you succumb and you bribe. You are fueling the corruption that will consume you.
At a point where it is really harmful for the nation. Mheshimiwa, there are those who say we are a rich country.
Yeah, we are.
I am one of those who believe we are a genuinely rich country. Our human resource is a predominant part of our wealth, but our mineral wealth is also phenomenal. But it is opaque at best. Nobody tells you anything about it.
You just hear that we are having 290 minerals.
Yes, you are told there was a contract for a certain type of mineral. You hear there's rare earth. You hear there's copper. You hear. What would your presidency do with the mineral wealth? Because you talk mineral wealth, you talk sovereign funds, it begins to make sense.
Now, I keep saying our constitution is the manual for running a country called Kenya.
Yes.
The same way you come out of a showroom with your brand new car with a manual to run it. You seek leadership of Kenya, pick up the manual and understand it. If it's public finance, we have a chapter. If it's our natural resources, they're right there. Everything, all our wealth, all our resources, human and otherwise, must be managed for the benefit of the people of Kenya, and must be managed openly and transparently. It means we should have a register of what we have as minerals, a map of where they are located, a criteria for awarding contracts and to whom, and a policy on what comes to us. We have been having oil in Turkana since 2012. We do not know what goes on. One time we are told the contractor has gone off, they've signed to somebody else. Now we are hearing of it again. Actually, it faded like it had disappeared. And we do not know what, if anything, has come from it. Now I was reading in the papers that those exploiting it are saying that it may not be feasible because they've been asked for 22 billion as taxes. To be asked for 22 billion as taxes, there must be something going on and nobody is telling us. Yet Turkana continues to suffer without water, without basic infrastructure,
without food,
without roads going to whatever, and they have been now ravaged by hunger. Again, the perennial hunger. The same with northern Kenya, where hunger was biting. It's raining now, but hunger doesn't stop at the first sight of rain, maybe a few weeks later, because wild things, food that grows wild and animals may thrive again, but people have suffered, animals have died, and where animals have died, know that there are people who have died unreported, apart from suffering. And this is a rich country. At the same time they are suffering. We have the president launching Nyota in several places, including those hungry places, accompanied by so many, and therefore, if you count what a trip costed, you would see it would alleviate the suffering. It would be a package for the week for the area he is traveling. in terms of food. So where is our priorities? We continue spending, and it's not just the president, it's the entire cabinet, because there will be the deputy president launching something as well. And there's dishing out of cash to people who visit State House, dishing out of cash by Professor Kindiki, dishing out of cash by CSs and other, even MPs. And in a by-election, the by-election like the ones of yesterday, they'll be dishing cash everywhere. It is so immoral when people are suffering, when children are out of school, when people cannot access medical services, that you prioritize only your preservation in office, and therefore you hop around,
Looking back to the two incidences, for example, the one that you experienced in Tanzania, and then, of course, there's the Kizza Besigye situation in Uganda.
And also, the Brian Kigoro deportation from Kenya on Monday morning. A Zimbabwean lawyer who has previously worked in Kenya, who is a frequent visitor to Kenya and other parts of Africa, a very reputable international civil servant, who sought to enter Kenya on Saturday night, was deported on Monday morning after being held in Communicado. Kenya has gone rogue.
What was
it
that
is
about,
behaving.
really?
Nobody knows. He was not told anything. And he was kept without his phones. He was only able to communicate after he left. He was not told given any reasons.
Was he harmed, or did any harm come to him?
I have not personally spoken to him.
Okay.
But if no other harm came to him, definitely psychological. When you are held in Communicado, I do not know what type of questions he was being asked. He works for open society. Kenya benefits from open society. Last time they were saying that demonstrations are being funded from outside. It came out in the papers that the First Lady Rachel Ruto was the top beneficiary of the generosity of open society in her organizations. Was it Open Society or was it Ford Foundation? I'm mixing.
Okay.
But I know Open Society has dealings with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I know that for a fact. I know there are people in government. For instance, advisor, quotes, Makau Mutua, has had dealings with Open Society. I know that the ministry, through Korio Sing'oei, has had dealings with Open Society. So why... They know this individual, Brian Kagoro, all those I've mentioned.
Yes.
Why on earth did they deport him? For what? He was here earlier this year because he's invited to things and they also have offices here. Why would they get deported? He was dealt with the way Suluhu Samia's regime, rogue regime, dealt with us in Tanzania. We arrive and we are told, wait for a minute. And you're asking why, you are saying they are consulting. And then after 2 hours, they tell you, you'll not be allowed entry. You ask why, they just tell you orders from above. Nothing else. And we were deported.
Okay.
So you are not able to say. And I know that why, because the previous time I had visited, gone to court for the case of Tundu Lissu as an observer, I had held a press conference and said that the government ought to release him. He was the main contender, opposer of President Suluhu Samia. Without him, practically Samia went in and opposed. So he was held, and he is still being held, for political reasons. The UN has declared him a prisoner of conscience. Calling for reforms before elections cannot be treason. You can see how they are conducting his case. They made him withdraw his lawyers because they would not let him consult privately. They wanted him to discuss how he's dealing with this case in the presence of officers. So he's defending himself. He keeps on getting interrupted by the judge. The judge wants to tell him how to conduct his case, which is an aberration in terms of access to justice and a fair trial. The same is happening in Uganda to Kizza Besigye, now held for almost 470 days. It was 465 when I was there on Tuesday. It's now going to 470 days. And without bail. And the law is very clear in Uganda. If you're not tried within 6 months, you should be admitted to what they call mandatory bail. The law grants you that right. They have refused to give him bail. We've applied umpteenth times. We are going to apply again because of his failing health. It's like a conspiracy to kill him because his health is seriously compromised. Then you look at Kenya joining the list of countries that are deporting people. They give a passport to internationally wanted criminals from Darfur. Hemet, his brother, and now we are seeing a dubious businessman from Zimbabwe, Chivaya. How do you give a Kenyan passport and you deport a reputed international civil servant like Brian Kigoro? So this is becoming a haven for people who are hurting the continent of Africa. People who are suspected of mass killings in Darfur are getting Kenyan passports. So I'm thinking that Ruto is trying to assemble internationally known dogs of war to come here and disrupt Kenya during the electoral
process.
Yeah.
As president, then, how would you deal with the East African community, considering these statements that you've just made? How would you deal with Tanzania? Because at the end of the day, as head of state, you will have to deal with your counterparts, President Yoweri and President Suluhu.
They would have to deal with me at that level also, because we are joined at the hip. I will deal with them according to the treaty. I will not agree to be roped in to do someone's dirty laundry. Because Ruto administration hounding Tanzanians like Maria Teshai, because it must have been Kenyan security forces in league with Tanzania's forces that abducted her and attempted to return her to Tanzania where she could be harmed. If it was not for the intervention of people of goodwill both in Kenya and internationally, she would have been taken. We have seen others arrested trying to abduct Tanzanians. We have seen the case of Mwagodi, abducted in Tanzania and asked why he opposes Ruto. So it's like three rogue governments coming together to hound their citizens to sustain themselves in power. So how would I deal with that? I would not wash the dirty laundry of any colleague, whether East African or otherwise. We deal with each other according to the law. We open our borders for cross-border trade and visits, because what is the use of being a citizen of Jumuiya if carrying a Jumuiya passport, I can be deported from Tanzania? You see? We must help our citizens, and it is through interaction that we build a strong Jumuiya and we all benefit from each other. So I would deal with them according to the law. And sitting across the desk, I would not be available for dirty work. Only encouraging for good work.
As far as the youth are concerned, have you identified any pain points that you would address specifically, other than employment, once you're in power?
Human rights. You don't kill your children. You don't kill your human resource, the best of your human resource, because our growth is dependent on all the human resources. So when you work against your people, majority of whom are the youth, you are actually destroying your foundation for a strong nation. So one is to ensure that the right to life, the right to inclusion in the economic mainstream becomes a reality. To build a just economy. What do I mean by that? An economy that works for everyone. An economy where there is ease of doing business, so that in turn business, which is the private sector, can create the much needed jobs, so that the youth who are full of innovation can thrive, and the enterprises they have started, because our youth really try, they should be supported. not only to access capital in an easier way, and the only way to do that is to stop the appetite of borrowing from local banks. Government competing with business, and therefore business unable to access credit, and those who access, they access at a very high interest rate.
Yes.
So that is the way Kibaki did it, by not competing with businesses in getting credit from local banks. It is during the Kibaki era that we saw banks hawking loans. They're still hawking loans, but those who are now hawking more are the small credit institutions.
The fintechs.
And people are unable to pay because of the economic conditions. So we need to release capital. We need to support SMEs. That's where the jobs are going to come from. And those SMEs are essentially, mainly Kenyans. Those are the greatest investors when you bulk them together. They're the ones who go nowhere else. They're the ones, when they do well, their money circulates in Kenya. So even just by a policy of supporting them, by capacity building, and also by trading with them, anything they produce that the government uses, we ought to be their first customers. And let me pick something that is in every office: furniture.
Yes.
If we stop buying furniture abroad and we help them to get the equipment, if it's a finish we don't like, there's something we can do about that. That already is creating jobs here, because when you buy from outside, you are creating jobs there. So there are so many things we can talk about, and even consultancies. How do we keep giving consultancies to foreigners in areas that Kenya are competent, whether for roadworks, whether for evaluation, or even tech,
Yes.
Then the people brought, among them will be your people, because Kenya, in terms of knowledge, powers Africa and powers the world. We contribute. You go to America, you'll find Kenyans. You go to UK, go to any country, you'll find Kenyans. We should be encouraging our people where they are qualified, and they are qualified in almost everything I can imagine. And if there is something you could do with additional knowledge, bring a single person to work in a consortium made of Kenyans. That's how you retain the knowledge. We cannot 60 years after independence be depending on outside while our people are here without jobs.
Which let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Are the Kenyan voters ready to actually elect somebody who definitely will bring about the change they demand?
Now, it is my duty, your duty, City, and every media house to have this conversation with Kenyans. Do you really want change? Are you ready to support change? Here is what to do if you support change. Look at the track record of the person seeking to be elected, whether an MCA, MP, governor, or a president. Look at them critically. What is the disease that Kenya has that is making us look like a nation in the ICU? It's failure to follow the rule of law, as a result of which there is rampant corruption, abuse, and outright theft of funds. And therefore, services grind to a halt. Businesses are choked by the rent seeking in multiple licenses that we give them.
Yes.
So, if you ask me, it's a leadership crisis. Leadership that we can trust, leadership that can follow the rule of law and therefore protect everybody's rights. A leadership that follows the rule of law will build an economy that works for everyone.
Okay.
So Kenyans must be looking at the track record for all the 6 seats. If you've been involved in corruption, you are unlikely to be able to fight corruption. And corruption takes many forms, including land grabbing. You can see that it's a land grabber's heaven. Even some courts are giving judgments that encourage land grabbers, while others are stopping the land grabbers. We need to see uniformity in application of the law. And I said, the fish rots from
The head.
The head. If we address the leadership crisis, you have solved the problems of Kenya.
Okay.
Because you can't take one and say that it is only about debt or it is only about corruption in the school sector or the health sector.
Right.
It is everywhere. So we need to fix the leadership question.
Finally, Mheshimiwa, on matters to do with Russia.
Yeah.
Kenyans have been killed in Russia. We do not even have the full story. Some are recruited knowingly. Some are duped into jobs, find themselves on the front line fighting Ukraine. What do you have to say about this matter?
Just to say that the Ruto administration has been sleeping on the job. There is no way a Kenyan can recruit not 1,000 plus, export them to Russia without raising an eyebrow. For them to move at that scale, it means there is somebody in government benefiting from what is happening. He was given, given an open check, or they just kept a blind eye. They knew it's going on and they don't want to know. This is the level of desperation in Kenya. And again, they were duped. Some of them say they were told it's other jobs. You get there and you find you are conscripted to war. I'm again accusing the government of Kenya of being lazy or indifferent to the suffering of Kenyans.
Yeah.
Ever since we discovered there were Kenyans in Russia, it's more than a month. Russia has an ambassador here. We have not heard of him being summoned. We have not heard of Kenya openly demanding Russia returns those who are in the war front. We hear of Mudavadi going to Moscow. I don't know whether he has gone or he is still on the way going. They're taking too long. In the meantime, fellow Kenyans are dying in Russia, mainly the young. This is the tragedy of being led by people who have no interest of Kenyans at heart, and their sole interest is self-aggrandizement. They're too busy making deals. Even when we were deported from Tanzania, I believe the 2 hours it took for them to tell us that we will not be allowed entry, Tanzania was conferring with Kenya. And I believe Kenya, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, walituuza. And they were able to say, return them. I am sure that even when Boniface and Agatha Atuhaire were held by police, Kenya was consulted. I am sure there is no way a friendly nation can torture your citizen
without your consent.
And when the whole world knows. And if it was without their consent, where is the reprimand? Where is the summoning of the Tanzanian ambassador? They were very happy about it. We have not heard anything. Even the way Mudavadi talked on TV, he was almost clapping. He was asking what we went to do in Tanzania. What is the Jumuiya for? Do they think the Jumuiya was created so that leaders can fly to Tanzania and Uganda, enjoy and come back? Or was it created so that we, the citizens, can all together enjoy the Jumuiya? These are people in offices they don't appear to understand or care to understand, and which they are using for personal gain instead of for Kenyans. Kenyans must think seriously. We should not only say one term. It means get better leaders next time for all the 6 seats. And I'm telling you, you give me the CEO's job, I can assure you, in the first 100 days, you will reap benefits. But on day 1, in the acceptance speech, Kenyans will be on notice that stick to the path of the rule of law or pay the consequences. And I saw it when Kibaki came in. It's not as though the constitution was changed on the day he was sworn in. But things changed. And people toed the line because they watched and saw the top was serious. Expect instant change in areas that require behavioral change. and expect legal changes where they need to be, especially with regard to taxation. Expect a lot of changes. And the first supplementary budget on coming in will relate to taxation more than anything else.
Executive order.
Executive orders.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for your time. I have been informed by the producer that you have to rush, so this is where we shall come to a close as far as the conversation is concerned. Any final remarks? Perhaps it's Ramadan, it's Lent. Anything to say?
Wishing all our Muslim brothers and sisters Ramadan Kareem, and Christians, and especially those who are fasting during this period of Lent, a majority of whom will be Catholics.
Yes.
A reflective Lent season.
All right.
But most of all, to all of us Kenyans, change begins with you. And it will begin with how you choose your leaders. We're in this together, Kenyans.